All right, it is the final football show of the year.
Yep.
So sources say Cowboys option for Peterson and Ware. If the Vikings and star running back Adrian Peterson cannot agree on a restructured contract, the Cowboys could be an option according to league sources. DeMarcus Ware likewise would consider Dallas.
I can more see DeMarcus Ware going back as a situational pass rusher. That makes sense. As far as Adrian Peterson goes, he's going to have to take a significant amount of a pay cut in order to go to Dallas and kind of be the second guy down there. Now, Adrian Peterson, who's been the man since he was a freshman in high school, I don't know if he has it in him to take a back seat to Ezekiel there. So both are going to have to take significant pay cuts in order to fit the salary cap for what Dallas has to do. And you'd figure they'd only be there for a year or two because then they're going to have to start the new contracts for Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. So maybe for a year or two, but I don't see anything longer than that. And the biggest hurdle is if Adrian Peterson, abides by the fact that he's no longer a starting running back in the NFL. I think the chances of him going to Dallas are slim, and he'd probably still want to be a starter in another uniform.
Sources say Romo won't retire despite TV interest. Dallas Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo remains determined to play in 2017 and has no plans to retire, league sources told ESPN.
Yeah, he's got a lot of football left. He's not going to... He's got to capitalize on what he has left in his career to make money and possibly win a championship. I don't think he'll get cut by the team. That's what everyone wants, but in what he wants. But they're going to have to get some value and even capitalize more on their Dak Prescott selection to get a draft pick at some whether it's a second or third or fourth. When they trade him away rather than getting nothing for him. So I think he'll still be playing football. It's just a question of the different places that he'll go. You figure that it will be an AFC team because Dallas doesn't want to see Romo in any sort of playoff run if both teams should get there if he were in the NFC. So I think if he gets traded, I think the best place, the most logical place would be probably Denver.
Sources, Shanahan eyes Schaub for 49ers. Kyle Shanahan would be interested in taking quarterback Matt Schaub with him to the 49ers, according to league sources.
Yeah, Matt Schaub, he had a couple decent years, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. He was a backup with Ryan over in Atlanta. I think their first priority is maybe to sign Kirk Cousins. Their second maybe for, trading to get Garoppolo, and then the third option would be to take Schaub. We'll see what happens. They get they have a lot of places to fill out in San Francisco, and we'll see if they can get their hands on a guy like Kirk Cousins that instantly makes them a better team. If they can get their hands on Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's going to come at a price, probably a first and a third at least. And Schaub probably not, peanuts. So, but Matt Schaub's not going to win you anything. So you got to, research each one of the three and see what works out best for the team.
Well, if you were living under a rock, okay, or don't own a TV, don't have a computer, and don't go out and talk to people,
or don't know anybody,
you would not have known that the Patriots came back from 25 points down to win Super Bowl 51. And Brady was named Super Bowl MVP after a historic rally. Patriots quarterback Tom Brady showed every bit of his big game experience in leading his team back from a 28-3 deficit and earning Super Bowl 51 MVP honors.
Yeah, this was, I heard a lot of people say it's the best game they've ever seen, the best Super Bowl they've ever seen. The bottom line is that the Patriots were dead in the water, and I don't know if anyone saw it, but I think it was the Boston Globe or the Boston Herald already started printing. The Globe started printing, Atlanta wins or something like that, or they fall short or something like that.
I think the headline was a bitter end.
Bitter end with Brady down on the
correct
after the pick six.
Correct.
I know a lot of people had tweeted, or whatever. I don't even like to get involved in that, but I like to see people screw up and try to get ahead of the game when they're wrong. Basically, this was a game where New England could never get in a groove. They tried to run the ball and extensively, and Blunt ended up fumbling, and he never saw the field again. They couldn't get Deion Lewis going from the backfield. For the first 3 quarters of the game, Atlanta played A+ across the board on the defensive side with the interception, getting off the field on 3rd down. Atlanta came to play, and for the first 3 quarters, they had all but won this game. Now, I'm sitting here on the couch with Andy, and I'm saying, look, if there's one guy in the entire world, just the entire world, not one quarterback, not Joe Montana, not any of these other people. If there's one quarterback on the planet right now that could possibly make this happen, it's Tom Brady. Now, what I also mentioned to Andy was that they needed some sort of defensive turnover, whether it was an interception, whether it was a fumble, whether it was a sack fumble. And Dante Hightower kind of got the ball rolling when he sacked Ryan. They picked it up, went down, scored a touchdown. Now, at this point, they still needed, essentially 4 scores because, getting a touchdown is hard enough, but getting a 2-point conversion is like another. It's never guaranteed. It's like getting four scores. So, they score again, and then they take a page out of 2004, 2005 playbook with the direct snap to James White, who had an unbelievable game. Arguably the MVP, but they gave it to Brady, obviously, because it's Brady. And they, now they're down by 8, okay? So they kick it deep. The Falcons are on the 10, and then they let Deonta Freeman, catch a 47, 48-yard pass. All the way down to midfield. Then Julio Jones has an amazing catch, and I'm sitting there. It's 1st and 10 from their 25. All they have to do is run the ball and kick a field goal, and the Patriots are essentially out of it, down by 11 with 3 and change left, maybe. That's when the Patriots defense really stepped up. They stepped up. Sheard that had the big sack.
That was Trey Flowers.
Trey Flowers had the big sack, and then they had the big holding penalty. And then New England gets the ball back, and they have 90 yards to go, and and the rest is history, as I say. But I mean, you got a lot of players who really showed up. Usually in the Super Bowl, you have 3 or 4 guys that step up to the plate. New England had Brady, they had James White, they had the offensive line. Edelman made a catch that the Patriots deserved, quite frankly, over what they dealt with the Giants. Amendola made some big plays. Malcolm Mitchell made some big plays, some shaky plays, but he got back on his feet, caught the ball, got the first down. Hogan made a couple nice catches, and they really came together as a unit in the 4th quarter. And they go down and score the touchdown, and then they get the 2-point conversion. And I think right when that happened, I think Atlanta was deflated. They were done. And I think even if Atlanta wins that coin toss, I still think New England figures out a way to win. But obviously, New England won the coin toss, and then it was just it was a walkthrough that last possession in overtime. The Atlanta did not blitz at all. They were tired. They blew their timeouts on stupid challenges and a stupid timeout that was taken in the 3rd quarter. And basically, New England at will went down and scored. And obviously with the touchdown by James White, where if you still look at his knee was down or whatever. Like Andy said, they're never, with the confetti going down and everyone going bullshit, they're not going to bring that back for 3rd and 1. Basically, what they did, they defied all odds, and there's only one team that could have done it, and New England was that team because they stay focused. They have a great, unbelievable leader, not only in Belichick but in Brady. And I don't care what anyone says with a New England Patriot fan, 99.9% of Patriot fans had said there's no way they're going to come back and win. Now, I told Andy I had a good feeling coming the second half, but I didn't think they were going to come back. I never said they were going to come back and win, so I'm not going to make claim to that. No one did. If they did, they're lying.
Correct.
And basically, the last fourth quarter, I mean, I can say this, it was probably the best fourth quarter I've ever seen in football for a team that I wanted to be victorious in overtime. But the overtime was really nothing. I mean, there was no, I guess Atlanta was on the field, but they weren't playing football. Hats off to just about everyone. I mean, Matt Patricia, holding them to what, 7 points in the second half.
Yep.
All the way down, and the guys never gave up. And the people, it's easy for us fans to just say, oh, they lost it, and they're, the players, the offensive line who protected Brady for that whole fourth quarter. He got hit once and the defensive back slipped. Whether it wasn't that was the reason it wasn't an interception, but and I know there's more Patriot haters out there than there are people that like the Patriots, but they they needed a couple breaks. They hadn't got any breaks in the past Super Bowls. And it was still not a break that Seattle. I mean, with Seattle, they still had to intercept the fucking pass. It wasn't like they just handed it to them. I mean, it was a break that they didn't call a running play, but they still defend the pass play. But they had a catch by Edelman that will be one for the ages, and I think Julio Jones's catch may go. Maybe forgot about just because of the fact that the Atlanta Falcons choked. And we were watching the game, and Arthur Blank's up there with his slut of a girlfriend waving their hands, and the game's over, and he wants to get down on the field to watch the fourth quarter so he can be on the field. And the stares when the cameras cut to him on the sideline, and he's just staring blank, and that broad that he had in the red was just like, yeah, she probably didn't even know what football was coming into that game, But it was great to see Atlanta lose. It was great to see Atlanta choke. Since then, I know Atlanta has fired their defensive coordinator, which is a bunch of garbage. That defense played extremely well. And that guy still has a job if Dan Quinn can tell Kyle Shanahan to run the ball, with 4 minutes to go rather than keep on throwing it, which the Patriots took advantage of. That's why it's a four-quarter game. When I always say on this thing, when you're playing a four-quarter game, that's why the game's 4 quarters, because you could get your ass beat for the first 3 quarters, but then pull out a miraculous, comeback, and it still really hasn't sunk in for me. I think it will probably in the next coming months when, everyone said, New England won the Super Bowl. It was a game for the ages, and one that I'll for sure never forget. So congratulations to the Patriots, and what a wonderful, wonderful win and comeback.
Champion Pats, favorites to win Super Bowl 52. After defeating the Atlanta Falcons 34-28 in overtime to win their 5th Super Bowl title, the New England Patriots sit atop the early odds to win Super Bowl 52 at 5-1. This is as of 4 days ago.
That doesn't mean anything to me right now. As we can see, that it really, when you talk about, preseason, okay, you have OTAs, you have mini camps, training camp, 4 preseason games, a 16-game season, the playoffs, and then the Super Bowl. How that entire 9 to 11 month period comes down to what it came down to in the Super Bowl shows you that everything. When Belichick said we're 5 weeks behind everybody, or I thought he said 5.
You might be right.
5 weeks behind. He's true. Everyone has but you know what? That's the NFL, and all the little things that are done really make the difference in the end. So 5-1. Look, it doesn't mean anything right now. It won't mean anything, for the entire, for as far as I'm concerned. they still have to go out and play. You know, that's why you play the game. I mean, when you look at the Super Bowl on paper, you're thinking, okay, New England's going to win this game. It's going to be a close game. You know, no one ever thought in a million years that this is the way it was going to end up, and that's why you play the game. So many things can happen. It's a 16-game season, so I don't put much stock into who's favored to win next year's Super Bowl. That's a bunch of garbage.
Historic duo, Belichick-Brady, first to 5 Super Bowl wins. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady secured their 5th Super Bowl as a coach-quarterback duo on Sunday in Houston to pass Chuck Noll and Terry Bradshaw for the most in NFL history.
It was, you know, there were so many different, stories that were going on with the largest comeback in NFL history, with Brady getting to 5, with Belichick getting to 5, and breaking records, and most Super Bowl MVPs or most whatever it was. All that stuff is really, when baseball is a game of numbers, and that's never going to change. But football, when you look at the National Football League and how difficult it is to win a game on Sunday in football, teams have trouble winning 2 or 3 games a year. To win, that many Super Bowls as a duo, and I don't think they're going to stop. I think they got at least 2 more Super Bowl victories in them. But with that being said, they etched their names in history. They were there anyway, even if they lost. But it's always better to win than it is to lose. And you can. I mean, the argument's going to go on forever. Brady or Belichick or Lombardi, depending on which area you're from, you have a legitimate argument on both ends. Brady, Brady is now officially. I mean, when he won it 2 years ago, he was the best quarterback of all time, and prior to that, I still think he was the best quarterback of all time. Now there's no argument anymore. There's no argument for what he's done with a different cast of characters every single year, playing with what was Ernie Accorsi saying on the radio? Maybe 1 or 2 Hall of Famers in a 16, 17-year span, and one of them maybe a kicker with Vinatieri. And the way they regroup every year and find people to plug in. All these guys on the Patriots, there are names because they've made their name with the Patriots. You look at Chris Hogan, you look at the kid Van Noy,
Kyle Van Noy,
who is nobody. You look at a Logan Ryan, and you look at Malcolm Butler, who was on was the last guy on the active roster for the 2 Super Bowls. Now he's one of the top corners in the league. You look at a guy like Devin McCourty, and you look at Jamal Sheard and Alan Branch, and all these guys that no one gave a shit about until New England took a chance on them, and they love to play football, and that's why New England feels as though they have an edge against everybody else, where they don't just go after the top talented guy. They find a guy that fits what they need to do. So,
Patch Kraft calls title unequivocally the sweetest. Patriots owner Robert Kraft asked if the 5th is the greatest of his team's Super Bowl victories. Said it was indeed.
It's a great question to get asked. Which one of your 5 Super Bowls is the best one you have? There's no wrong answer. In my opinion, I believe, to me, the number 1 will always be the first one. When they beat the Rams, they were 14-point dogs, and heavy underdog, and that was the first one. And I even like when the Bruins won their Stanley Cup, they weren't expected to win. Now, that's the reason why I hide that one in the highest regard, because, they started off 0-2. I won't go through the whole season. Then Brady comes in, and, they make the playoffs. They beat Oakland. They go and beat Pittsburgh, and, the rest is history, as we say. But to knock off a team like that, they were the Patriots. It was, the year of the tower, the towers going down. I still get chills when I talk about that, because it was an event like no other. Now, I mean, you can make an argument. My number 2 for me would be 2 years ago against Seattle, just the way they won the game. And then this one would be 3. But there's no wrong answer. Meaning that if someone asks you, which one of your 5, or It's like saying hey, which one of your 5 kids, they all mean the same. They're all different in all shape, ways, shapes, and forms. But the bottom line is that they're all winning championships, and that's all that really matters.
Source: Falcons OC Shanahan will take 49ers job. Falcons offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan will become the next head coach of the San Francisco 49ers once a contract is placed in front of him, a source told ESPN.
Yeah, all that dog and pony show went down today. I listened to a little bit on the radio. They hired both Shanahan and John Lynch. John Lynch, who's never seen a front office until he walked in the door with the 49ers. With San Francisco being there for so long and dealing with the toughest thing for a head coach to do is it should be winning a football game. There's so much stuff going up in the upstairs there with Jed York and all the other things that the head coach has to worry about everything when he needs to just mainly concentrate on his team and winning football games. And I think Shanahan is going to have an added responsibility because he essentially is going to work hand in hand with the GM who has no experience, has no idea how to evaluate talent. I don't know what scouts are going to work for him. He's got to figure that all out. But it's going to be a long haul, especially with Seattle still being there. Granted, they're on the decline. Arizona, who knows? They just re-upped Carlson Palmer for next year. So San Francisco, it's not just a quarterback like I was saying. It's many different parts on the offense and the defense. I think it's going to be it's going to be something that'd be very difficult to get them to where the Niner fans and the York family want them to be. It's going to be a process, and we'll see if Shanahan can do it. We saw a guy like Adam Gase go down to Miami and turn them around. They made the playoffs, and no one thought that was going to happen. So, but I think San Francisco, is lacking talent. They're lacking leadership. They're lacking just about everything on both sides of the ball. So we'll see what happens next year.
Brady's jersey missing after Super Bowl 51. Patriots quarterback Tom Brady said somebody stole his game jersey from New England's locker room after he won his 5th Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, and they showed this whole thing about the Texas Rangers and all these people getting involved in the investigation. I don't know. I mean, that's going to be whoever has it. Is not going to sell it on eBay because they're screwed. They'll just find them and arrest them. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I hope it's not someone from the organization that did it. But trust me, if you had told Tom Brady that he'd win that way and all he had to do was give up his game jersey, he would have done it in a second.
Falcons Ryan on loss. Quote, there are no words. Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan struggled to put a finger on exactly what went wrong Sunday in a 34-28 overtime loss to the Patriots in Super Bowl 51, in which Atlanta let a 28-3 lead slip away.
Yeah, they got to run the ball. I mean, I know that's not his call, but, I think in the Matt Ryan, gained a lot of respect for myself this season. I thought that, they were going to eventually shoot themselves in the foot, which they did. It came at a point where you think that 25 points was going to, be enough to win the game. Obviously, it wasn't. But I mean, they won. They killed Green Bay and Seattle, and then for 3 quarters in the NFL and in the Super Bowl, they looked every bit worthy of a world champion. There's a lot of different things that happened, and this was the first time for Atlanta. They were a deer in the headlights, and it goes back to, if you want to nitpick, if he really wants to know, it's the fact of the matter, you had the ball first and 10 at the 25, and you decided to throw the ball, and that's where you lost the game.
Ex-Titans tight end Wycheck believes he has CTE. Ex-Titans tight end Frank Wycheck, who believes he has CTE, told ESPN he hasn't opened up much about his daily life in great detail regarding his condition and his fears because, quote, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I mean, something like that, it's you don't want to talk about it, and especially a guy that's an old school type football player. Frank Wycheck was a very, very good tight end. Was a hard player, just a solid player. I feel bad for him, and hopefully he can try to get better.
Accused McKnight shooter pleads innocent. The man who fatally shot former NFL player Joe McKnight formally pleaded not guilty Monday to a second-degree murder charge.
I don't know much about the situation, just like what we talked about, what was it, 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half ago. They got into a road rage thing, and McKnight supposedly threatened him with a gun or said he had a gun, and the guy shot him in self-defense. I don't know what happened. The guy looks like he's a lunatic, but, we'll see what happens.
Patriots Brady. Running back White deserves MVP truck. Tom Brady said he thinks Patriots running back James White deserves a Super Bowl MVP truck. Brady gave the truck he won 2 years ago to Malcolm Butler.
Both perfect scenarios, guy like Malcolm Butler, who actually, in my opinion, it's more Brandon Browner who should have got the truck because he's the one that. But Malcolm Butler got the interception. I understand, and he was a rookie or second year guy at the time.
Second year, I think. Second year guy.
Good for him. And then James White. I tell you what. This guy came out of nowhere, and the only reason he was playing is because
everybody else sucked.
Correct. And he took advantage, and he took the opportunity, and he had an outstanding game. Just outstanding, running the ball, pass blocking, catching the ball, the backfield, getting those extra yards, scoring the game-winning touchdown, 2-point conversion. I mean, this guy really stepped up, and I think, when his contract comes up, he earned himself a lot of money in the Super Bowl game. So I agree with Brady doing the right thing. He doesn't need a car or a truck or whatever. So it's good to give it to a guy like that.
Belichick, quote, insulting to say ban fueled Brady. Patriots coach Bill Belichick spoke passionately Monday morning about the idea that quarterback Tom Brady might have been fueled by vengeance this season in the wake of Deflategate.
He might have been. Brady is a special individual, and like I said prior to this, I still believe he's the best athlete to come, being in Boston. When you look at Larry Bird or Bill Russell or all, what's his name, Bobby Orr, I think Brady has solidified the fact of the matter that he's the best Boston athlete of all time, and obviously it's an argumental case, but Brady. The thing about Brady is I without saying it, I'm sure that the Deflategate situation fired him up. He had a chip on his shoulder, but Brady always plays with a chip on his shoulder. And we don't actually know what fires him up. He's never going to tell us. But whatever it is, whether it's a Deflategate 4-game suspension or, everyone thinks they cheated or whatever this other garbage is, he always comes out on top. And, he's 39 years old. He looks better. If you go back and watch him in, 2005, 2006, he looks better, more composed, more of, I think he's a better quarterback now. He's only going to get better, and, we'll see how long he plays for. But unless that offensive line, that keeps him, straight up, fails, I think Brady's going to be, passing, I think, for another at least 3 to 4 years.
Kicker Graham retires after 15 NFL seasons. Shane Graham announced his retirement from the NFL on Monday after scoring 1,260 points in 15 seasons.
Yeah, good kicker.
Texas Rangers asked to help find Brady jersey. The Texas Rangers have been asked by Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick to assist the Houston Police Department in its investigation into Tom Brady's missing Super Bowl jersey.
Yeah, like I said, they got everybody looking after it.
Bar raised high is success of Patriots season defined by Super Bowl. A model of consistency in a volatile league, the Patriots are defined these days by championships, and anything less is disappointing.
Correct. Now, what that means is, the Patriots and, you can even say the Red Sox, not so much the Celtics, and the Bruins, prior to this last 3 or 4 years of garbage, Patriots especially, it's Super Bowl or bust. Now, to a lot of franchises, that's like, what do we? Super Bowl or bust. I mean, we're just trying to win 3 games. You got another club that's just trying to win 6. You got another club that just wants to get to 500. You got another team that just wants to get 9-7 and everyone's happy. You got a team like Miami who just wants to make the playoffs and they're happy. Where New England, it's Super Bowl or it's a failure. And if they had lost that game, Andy and I both would agree it would be a negative season for me. I don't care if they went 15-1 or 16-0. You know, all that, and you know, it's great to get there. But if there's anyone that can handle it every year, it's Belichick.
Source: Falcons Schrader tore ankle ligament. Atlanta Falcons starting right tackle Ryan Schrader was informed he tore ligament in his right ankle during the Falcons' 34-28 overtime loss in Super Bowl 51 on Sunday. A source told ESPN.com.
I get too bad. I mean, if there's any time to tear something, it's the last game of the year. You have plenty of time to rest up.
Rest up as his ankles mauled. Steelers cut former Browns top 10 pick Gilbert. Cornerback Justin Gilbert, who failed to make an impact in Cleveland after the Browns picked him number 8 overall in 2014, was released by the Steelers after one season with the team.
That sucks. I mean, that's just terrible.
Source: Jets claim twice suspended defensive tackle Pennell. Defensive tackle Mike Pennell, who was suspended twice during the 2016 season, was claimed on waivers Monday by the Jets, a source told ESPN's Field Yates.
That's the Jets being the Jets.
Super Bowl draws 111.3 million viewers on Fox, down slightly. Fox drew an audience of 111.3 million viewers for the first Super Bowl to go into overtime, a smaller audience than the game has had in the past 2 years.
I mean, unless you interview every single person that watched and turned it off or didn't watch, I don't know. I don't put much stock into those ratings. It doesn't mean anything to me whether it was 113 million or 150 million. The people that need to be watching that game are watching that game.
Shanahan takes 49ers job with Falcons run over. Falcons offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan has officially, as of 3 days ago, become the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, he with a loss like that, and you know, you can argument, you know, that he blew the game for him. You know, he was probably out of that building as quick as he got back. You know,
correct,
from the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 51 makes history in Nevada too. Add the grand total of Las Vegas Super Bowl bets and sports books to the list of records that were set Sunday.
Yeah, how about that guy that the
1.1 million and he lost.
The Falcons. This guy put 1.1 million on the Falcons, and he was probably.
I think it was on the spread. I think it was Falcons plus 3 is what he did.
So he still had a shot in overtime. Correct. And he still lost. Yep. He must, you know. But Andy and I said it's not like this. That was all of his money. Correct. I'm sure this was a drop in the bucket for him, but too bad.
Plenty on to-do list for 49ers Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch. In the coming weeks, new coach Kyle Shanahan and GM John Lynch must form their coaching staff, find the right fit at QB, and prepare for the NFL draft.
Yeah. Three big things that neither of them have experience doing, so good luck.
Oh, baby. Parents call pre-rally newborn Brady. A baby that was born in Massachusetts just before the Patriots comeback in Super Bowl 51 has been named Brady.
Cool.
Sarkisian leaves Skarzian. What is his name?
Sarkisian.
There you go. Skarzian. Sarkisian leaves Alabama to become Falcons OC. Steve Sarkisian was named the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, the team announced Tuesday.
Yeah, Sark, as he's known. I met him a couple times. My roommate when I was working for the Niners went to USC. We went down there for a couple games while he was offensive coordinator. No, he wasn't a coordinator. I think he was a quarterback's coach or something like that. You know, he left USC, went up to Washington, was there for a little while, and then, you know, when Lane Kiffin left USC, he took the head job at USC and got himself in a lot of trouble. He was, you know, with alcohol, drinking, you know, before games and before, you know, giving team speeches and everything like that. So he was put on administrative leave. Finally, they just got rid of him, you know.
Threw him out like old trash.
Yep. Alabama scooped him up and made him some sort of offensive coach. He then stepped in for Lane Kiffin again when Kiffin took the FAU job, and he was a He coordinated the loss for Alabama in the national championship, and now he's the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons now. I mean, you can't step into a better situation. I mean, this offense can only go one direction. That's down, so we'll see if he can have any success there.
Sources: LaFleur. What's wrong with me?
And this guy's been reading books all day.
Sure. LaFleur likely to be named Rams OC. New Rams coach Sean McVay is expected to hire Falcons quarterbacks coach Matt LaFleur as his new offensive coordinator, sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter.
Yeah, he's got a big project in front of him. You know, he's not going to have the luxury of coaching up Matt Ryan anymore. He's going to have what's the guy's name, and the rookie who's number 1 overall.
Deshaun Watson?
No, the quarterback for the Rams.
Oh, Jared Goff.
Jared Goff. It's going to be a project.
9/11 NFL concussion victims allegedly scammed. New York and federal authorities sued a company Tuesday that they say scammed sick 9/11 responders and NFL players who are receiving payouts for concussion-related injuries.
That sucks if it's true.
Rob Gronkowski loses his shirt, lives it up during Victory Parade. Nobody had as much fun as New England's most jovial superstar, who was the life of the party during the Patriots Super Bowl Victory Parade Tuesday morning.
It's like, what? It was freezing rain that day. It was like 12 degrees out, and you got the tight end who's coming off of back surgery, on the float with no shirt on, chugging beers. I mean, at some point, someone needs to be like, you can't. You got to stop the shenanigans. You got to stop all this part. I mean, it's really affecting your career now. New England's lucky that they have a lot of offensive firepower, where when losing Gronkowski, they didn't really skip a beat. But, Gronkowski's a luxury to have on your team. And all the touchdowns he scores, he never plays a full season because he doesn't take care of his body. I think we're all good with the Gronkowski, okay, he's a meathead, he's jumping up and down, he's doing this. I think we're over that. We know who he is, and now it's time to really mature, which I don't know if he'll ever do, and try to play a foot. I mean, he doesn't have many back surgeries left, or any knee surgeries, or any shoulder surgeries.
Penis surgeries.
Yeah, whatever. So, it's fun for the fans.
Fun for the whole family.
If I was there, and I'd be laughing too, but at the end of the day, he catches pneumonia, he's in the hospital, he loses 60 pounds. I mean, I can see this going any other direction, so hopefully Gronk can get it together.
Falcons GM, extension imminent for Trufant. Falcons cornerback Desmond Trufant will likely receive a contract extension this spring. GM Thomas Dimitroff. I said Dimitroff.
You said Dimitroff.
No, you cut me off.
Correct, because I'm trying to help you.
It's Dimitroff.
Yeah, I know how to say it. Good for him.
Packers part ways with off-injured running back Starks. James Starks, who played in just 9 games this season after knee and concussion problems, was cut by the Packers on Tuesday.
Yeah, because they got Ty Montgomery now.
White forgot to keep ball from Super Bowl game winner. Super Bowl hero James White can't tell you what happened to the football from his overtime game winner in the Pats win over Atlanta.
Somebody has it.
Pats fans celebrate in snowy, windy Boston. Hundreds of thousands of fans weathered cold, snowy, and windy conditions to line the streets of Boston on Tuesday as part of the New England Patriots Super Bowl 51 championship parade.
Yeah, would you expect anything less from the Boston fans?
Quarterback McCown, defensive back Williams released by Browns. Veterans Josh McCown and Tramon Williams were released by the Browns on Tuesday.
It doesn't really affect me either, in any which way. I guess someone may pick him up to be a third string cornerback, but other than that.
Joseph, Broncos committed to Lynch and Simeon. Denver coach Vance Joseph and new offensive coordinator Mike McCoy said on Tuesday they are planning next season for the Broncos with Trevor Simeon and Paxton Lynch as the team's quarterback.
I forgot VJ took that job. Vance Joseph, I worked with him in San Francisco for a while, then he went down to Miami, or he was with Denver, and then Cincinnati, and then Miami, and now the head coach there. They have to prepare as if they have Simeon or Lynch. If Tony Romo somehow falls in their lap for a 4th-round pick, I think that all fans will agree that they can, recount what they had said before.
Brady on mom's health issue. Prognosis is good. Super Bowl MVP Tom Brady said Monday on his weekly radio appearance on WEEI that he is encouraged about his mother Galen's health prognosis and with how she has responded to treatments.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, that's the first time really anyone saw her was when she was on the field and she was wearing the bandana, obviously due to some sort of cancer. So, there's not really much you can say. At least it put a smile on her face, that her son won again. So hopefully she gets better.
Sources: Falcons defensive coordinator, defensive line coaches to be replaced. Falcons defensive coordinator Richard Smith will not continue in that role following Atlanta's historic collapse in Super Bowl 51, sources told ESPN.
That just sucks. Arthur Blank, needed to blame somebody. So he fires the defensive coordinator when this was the best Atlanta defense in decades. And Brian Cox,
Yeah.
right? This defensive line was sacking everybody and their mother, okay? Brady, for the first 3 quarters, was getting sacked. He was getting hit. He was getting hurried. I mean, how do you fire the defensive coordinator after a game like that? I mean, to fire the defense, it's just it's mind-boggling. It just sucks. And if I'm the defensive coordinator of Brian Cox, I'm like, fuck you. Like, what the fuck? Like, the entire season. They put together a great defense, and they got these rookies flying around. They got the speed. Everyone's talking about the defense, and now they just fire them just because they lost one game. And granted, it was a Super Bowl, but they had nothing to do with that loss. You got to blame the offense. That just sucks.
Sources: Falcons are eyeing.
I hope that the Patriots pick up one of those.
Hopefully, Brian Cox.
One of them.
Well, you're not going to keep the defensive coordinator.
I'm just saying maybe he's a defensive backs coach.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sources: Falcons are eyeing Manuel for DC. Secondary coach Marquand Manuel is a candidate to replace Richard Smith as Falcons defensive coordinator, sources told ESPN.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever they do, they're not going to get a better D coordinator than what they had, and that's going to become apparent when they get into training camp. And so yeah, I really dislike Atlanta with the way they handled that.
Packers cut Shields. Cornerback doesn't plan to retire. Cornerback Sam Shields, who has been dealing with concussions for the past few seasons, was released by the Packers.
Yeah, Sam Shields has been in the NFL forever. They're not going to pay him the money that he has on his contract for playing half the season.
Dungy says Colts stole signals but didn't cheat. Former Colts coach Tony Dungy responded to Deion Sanders' quote accusations of stealing signals by saying, quote, that's all part of the game.
It is, and that's what we talk about. I mean, stealing signals it's just like in baseball. If you steal signals and you get caught, one of your batters is gonna be on his ass. It's part of the game, and even though you steal signals, and this goes back to Spygate, you still have to execute on the field. If a team is that much better than the defense, they can just go ahead and tell them what they're running. If the defense can't stop it, then who cares? Everyone steals signals. It's been going on forever, and even with the Deflategate, okay? I used to be the ball boy for the 49ers. And before every game, I'd go up to Alex Smith and I'd say, look, which balls do you want? And he used to hand select the balls, and it was technically not against the rules. And guess what? No one gave a shit because we were 2-14. They didn't care what the PSIs or whatever the fuck they were. Now it comes to New England, and now it's a witch hunt, 4-game suspension, $1 million, draft picks over something that every team does. So that's another discussion for another day. But it's a bunch of garbage.
Antonio Brown, quote, I have some growing up to do. Antonio Brown promised during an interview with Bleacher Report that he knows he has, quote, some growing up to do, and vowed to rebuild trust with Steelers teammates and coaches.
Yeah, I think ever since he released that Facebook tape, I guess. But I'll take him. I'll deal with it.
Browns slash 40% of season ticket prices. The Browns have decreased their ticket prices after a 1-15 season.
40% off.
Yeah,
that's
it's like $5. How much are the tickets to begin with?
Well,
they're $5 now with 40% off. They got to be.
No.
No?
They have to be at least, I would say that they were at least $100 a pop.
So now they're $40. Now they're $60.
$60. It's one way to get people to come to the
Sure.
game.
Saints Pelicans will assist with tornado relief. The Saints and Pelicans will assist in relief efforts after a series of tornadoes devastated the area of New Orleans east on Tuesday.
Good.
Despite going 3-13, Bears to raise ticket prices. Despite missing the playoffs in 9 of the last 10 seasons, which includes going 3-13 last season, the Chicago Bears are raising season ticket prices for most sections at Soldier Field.
They get a lot of balls doing that.
Eagles begin trimming release cornerback Mclovein. Veteran cornerback Leotis Mclovein was released by the Eagles after just one season with the team.
Yeah, he sucks.
Source: Giants re-signed Spagnuolo to run defense. Veteran defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo will return to the Giants in 2017, a source told ESPN.
I think that's a smart move. That's where he's most comfortable. The defense played a lot better than the offense. I think the defense there is young and it's going to be good.
Hall of Fame quarterback Fouts says T.O. got, quote, fair evaluation. Hall of Fame quarterback Dan Fouts said he thinks Terrell Owens got a fair shake by the Hall of Fame before his case didn't advance.
That's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. Terrell Owens is a top 5 receiver of all time, and to leave him out of the Hall of Fame is an absolute mockery to the NFL football. He's an asshole. He's a son of a bitch. He's a prick. We all know that. But guess what? It's what you did on the field. He was an unbelievable receiver across the board. He'll get in, but he should have been a first ballot.
Ex-Steeler Whitman pleads guilty in DUI crash. A former Pittsburgh Steelers fullback pleaded guilty to charges stemming from his second crash while driving under the influence of prescription drugs last year.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of help.
Brady's new ad with 5 rings was filmed in September. While serving his Deflategate suspension, Patriots quarterback Tom Brady filmed a TV commercial showing him with a 5th Super Bowl ring, one he didn't win until Sunday.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, period. Say what you want about the Patriots quarterback, but you can't say you'd rather put the football in someone else's hands if the goal is to win a Super Bowl.
Exactly. That's why he's the best.
Jerry Rice on Larry Fitzgerald's decision, quote, I hope he's at peace with it. According to Jerry Rice, the key to Larry Fitzgerald continuing to play at a high level boils down to one thing: how long his body can hold up.
That's just like any other. Look, Jerry Rice, I can tell you this for a fact. Jerry Rice is arguably the greatest receiver of all time. But when it comes to him and analyzing anything, it's a statement like that. Yeah, he can play as long as his body lets him. No shit. It's just like Tim McCarver during the World Series saying, if Randy Johnson throws strikes, he'll be effective.
With financing in jeopardy, are Raiders still destined to move to Las Vegas? Will Raiders remain in Oakland, or are they destined for the desert?
They're destined for the desert.
$200 sleepwear, Brady's TB12 brand comes at hefty price. While fans pay a premium for Tom Brady's TB12 branded products and services, plenty of obstacles stand in the quarterback's way to building a robust business.
I don't know enough about it.
Video shows David Johnson rehab appears to be going well. David Johnson was carted off with a knee injury during the Cardinals finale. Barely 6 weeks later, he seems to be progressing by leaps and bounds.
That's exciting news if you're a Cardinals fan.
Ex-Bengals wide receiver Chad Johnson, a long shot to make Hall of Fame. The wide receiver logjam in the Hall of Fame makes induction unlikely for Chad Johnson, as the former Bengal played in the deep era at that position.
Serves him right. I remember, 2007 or 8 when he wore that Hall of Fame jacket after his celebrations and stuff.
Like that.
So screw Chad Johnson.
Offensive coordinator Mike McCoy begins rebuild of Broncos playbook. Coordinator and former Chargers coach Mike McCoy said there will be plenty of changes coming for the Broncos offense.
Mike McCoy is a very intelligent offensive mind. I think he'll do fine there.
Why the best offenses almost never win the Super Bowl. The adage that defense wins championships explains only part of why top-scoring offenses tend not to win the biggest game of the season.
I mean, I guess you can make that as a general statement just because if teams ranked here, but if you look at the Super Bowl for example, I mean, yeah, the top defense won the Super Bowl, but the game didn't have the game didn't really show that statistically. You know what I mean? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Sure, I do, yeah.
But it's, the top defense always beats. No, well, when it was 28-3, what was everyone saying? What was the article going to say? So it's a bunch of garbage.
Only Bill Belichick could convince Julian Edelman Super Bowl was over. A new level of insight and color has been learned about the Patriots' Super Bowl victory in the days following the comeback over the Falcons.
He had to convince him?
Yeah, so there was a video when James White scored the touchdown in overtime.
Yeah.
Edelman was jumping up and down, but then somebody had told him they got to review it. So now all the reporters are on the field and everybody, and Edelman's saying, get the fuck off the field. They got to review this, get the fuck off the field. He's screaming at everybody. So all of a sudden, Belichick comes running over to Edelman, gives him a bear hug and says, we did it. And Edelman's like, they got to review it. And Bill's like, they already did. We won. And then there was like a pause. Edelman paused and then went, ballistic.
Cool. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Patriots' Dante Hightower shares his thoughts on pending free agency. Dante Hightower, whose key plays have helped the Patriots win 2 Super Bowls, will test the market as a free agent this offseason.
I think he knows where he's going to be most successful. I think he knows that he needs to stay in New England. He's going to get more. I can tell you this right now. He's going to get more. He's going to get a bigger offer somewhere, but we'll see. I mean, I hope the feeling of this win.
They could franchise him anyway, so it's really
but then they have to pay him more money.
$15 million.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's worth $15 million.
I don't know. Matt Ryan's, quote, clear vision of offense will help Sarkisian's transition. Matt Ryan has earned the right to make more play calls and more adjustments, and new Falcons OC Steve Sarkisian won't be making an overhaul.
Correct.
5 reasons why the Jets could be doomed to another poor season.
Oh, boy.
After being positive about the Jets before, Rich Cimini takes a pessimistic approach to looking at the team in 17, which is completely understandable.
A pessimistic look at the Jets. They've been irrelevant for as long as I can remember, since Vinny Testaverde was there.
How the Cowboys could have kept Tony Romo and Dak Prescott. The Cowboys missed out on the chance to keep Tony Romo and Dak Prescott when they decided to stay with the rookie through the season.
You can't keep them both.
John Lynch, 49ers will look at, quote, every scenario to find quarterback solutions. New GM John Lynch said he and Coach Kyle Shanahan will try to find a fit at quarterback, find the right fit at quarterback, whether it be through the draft, trades, or free agency.
It's not going to be through the draft, I'll tell you that. They're going to have to, figure out another way, because you can't rely on the NFL draft to find a quarterback.
Quit comparing Kirk Cousins' future deal to Aaron Rodgers' Tom Brady. There are many factors at play on contracts, and Redskins quarterback Kirk Cousins' future salary will be dictated by the market at the time of the negotiation.
Correct. He's going to get a boatload of money. It's just a question from who and how long.
What to know about Bills' looming decision on Tyrod Taylor. The Buffalo Bills have until March 11th to decide if Tyrod Taylor is a quarterback of their future, or if it's time to move in another direction.
You know what? March, I will not be holding my breath.
So, back to work. Cards quarterback Palmer, we're playing 17. You mentioned that earlier. Sarkisian says, quote, alcoholism doesn't define me.
Alcoholism.
I said alcoholism. Seahawks, sign former Vikings kicker Blair Walsh.
He sucks.
Colts cut linebacker Jackson, save $5.5 million against the cap.
Jackson, he's a good player.
And ex-Cowboy Randall charged in an inmate assault.
Oh, boy.
And that is it. That has been the 2016-17 Fantasy Football with Mclovein season. We don't know if we're going to be back next year. And because we don't know where I'm going to be, we don't know where you're going to be, we don't know.
Well, as of right now, we'll be back.
Sure, but, updates will come when we see what happens.
Well,
and I'm just telling you.
Like
Bob
Compagnus. Yeah, we know.
All right, so guys, thanks for watching. Great season.
Hey, great season. Go Pats.